There comes a strange moment in life, not when something explodes, but when absolutely nothing happens. You've meditated, manifested, meal prepped, and muttered, "I am enough," in the mirror so many times. The mirror rolled its eyes back, and still here you are. Your vision board looks like a crime scene. Your chakras are either blocked or bored. And no matter how many green smoothies you choke down, peace still hasn't arrived. Congratulations. You've officially reached the sacred threshold of spiritual exhaustion. This isn't a breakdown, it's a quiet awakening, the kind that shows up wrapped in loneliness, boredom, or a strange craving for chips at 2 a.m. And here's the cosmic punchline. Maybe the reason nothing's working is because you're still trying. Carl Jung said, "What you resist not only persists, but grows in size." The Buddha said, "When you let go, you'll know." And my Aunt Linda said I stopped checking my blood pressure and suddenly I was happier. All three were onto something. What if your next transformation doesn't need more doing, but more undoing? What if peace isn't something to find, but something that happens when you finally sit your enlightened butt down and shut up for 5 minutes? Today we're not going to fix you, we're going to remember you, the you beneath the noise, the you who doesn't need to prove a damn thing anymore. So stop scrolling, put the sage down, and for once in your life, do absolutely nothing. The world doesn't need your hustle, it needs your absence. Let me be brutally gentle with you for a moment. You've been hustling like the universe owes you rent, even in retirement. Sure, your job is done, your inbox is mostly spam, and your kids think emojis count as communication, but somehow you're still overbooked. Your calendar is filled with doctor appointments, chair, yoga, and endless attempts to stay relevant, as if you're going to get kicked out of Earth for not being productive enough. And here's the spiritual twist. The more you try to fix life, the more life quietly locks the door and pretends it's not home. You were told success comes from effort. Keep trying, keep climbing, keep sweating through those inspirational quotes. But here's what they don't tell you at your local mindfulness retreat. Effort is a clever disguise for fear. Fear that if you stop moving, you'll disappear. Fear that if you stop controlling, everything will fall apart. Fear that if you stop proving, you'll finally hear the silence you've spent a lifetime avoiding. But Buddhism whispers something very different. It says, sit, watch, let life come to you. In Zen, there's a principle called Wu Wei, doing through non-doing. It's like being the teacup instead of the kettle. You let life pour into you instead of boiling over trying to impress the damn tea bag. Carl Jung didn't teach us to chase dreams like they're loose lottery tickets. He taught us to turn inward and ask, why do I need this so badly? That question scares people. It's easier to chase money than ask why you still believe your worth is tied to your net worth. It's easier to crave love than admit you're afraid to be alone with yourself for more than 10 minutes without background noise. And the older we get, the more urgent this chasing feels, like there's a deadline looming, but no one told us what it's for. So we hustle harder, we grind quietly, we wear our suffering like it's a badge of spiritual commitment. But here's the cosmic joke. The universe doesn't respond to resumes, it responds to resonance. And right now, your soul is exhausted from trying to earn something that's already yours. Let that land. You were not born to constantly chase alignment like it's a 5-star Airbnb that never confirms your booking. You are the alignment, but you can't receive what's meant for you while sprinting toward what isn't. So what if you stopped? Not out of defeat, but out of defiance. What if your new rebellion wasn't another goal, but a nap? Try this tomorrow. Cancel something, anything. Sit under a tree. Stare at your old wedding ring. Let the sun hit your face. Without trying to interpret it as a sign, let life miss you for once. Because sometimes the most powerful message you can send to the universe is, I'm here, I'm not chasing, I'm listening. And that dear elder might be the very moment life starts whispering back. Part 3. Stop chasing. Start vanishing. The universe is tired of your resume. Let's face it, you're not chasing dreams anymore. You're harassing them. You've manifested, you've meditated, you've microdosed. You even lit incense that smelled suspiciously like burnt anxiety, and still nothing. Nada. The universe has read your affirmations, ignored your vision board, and marked your spiritual to-do list as spam. Why? Because it's tired of your resume. You see, the modern self-help gospel says, if you try hard enough, the universe will high-five you with a miracle. But what if the real miracle happens the moment you stop trying? That's not laziness, that's liberation. In Buddhism, there's this gorgeous, inconvenient teaching: the harder you cling, the more you suffer. It's like trying to grab water with a fist. You end up with less than when you started, and yet here we are, clutching at peace like it's a coupon about to expire. Carl Jung, the silver-bearded shadow whisperer, put it this way: what you resist persists, and probably leaves dishes in your sink. You think you're chasing a goal, but often you're just running from the silence. I once met a retired attorney, let's call him Frank, who filled every second of his post-career life with noise lectures, conferences, online chess, 3 therapy groups. One day, he admitted he was terrified of going a full afternoon without a schedule, because then, he whispered, I start remembering things. Ah, there it is. Sometimes what we call ambition is just trauma in a tuxedo. Sometimes busy is code for I don't want to feel that again. But here's the hilarious and horrifying truth. The universe doesn't listen to your calendar. It listens to your core. You don't attract what you announce. You attract what you are, and if what you are is anxious, overextended, and trying to spiritually DoorDash enlightenment before sunset, guess what? The universe is just going to mirror that energy back. Not because it hates you, but because it's loyal to the frequency you send out, like a really persistent DJ who only plays the songs you secretly hum at night when no one's watching. So stop pretending hustle is holy. Stop asking the divine to meet you in the chaos you created to avoid stillness. You're not failing because you didn't try hard enough. You're stuck because you never stopped. Try vanishing for a day, cancel something, sit under a tree, and don't tweet about it. Let life wonder where you went, because maybe the version of you that's meant to receive everything can only arrive once. The version of you that's been chasing everything finally dissolves. And if you need permission, here it is: disappear. The real you is waiting in the silence you keep postponing. Part 3. Your energy is saying what your mouth won't. You can say all the right things. You can tell the world you're fine healing, working on yourself and just taking it one day at a time. But if your energy is quietly screaming, I'm unlovable and furious, the universe hears that. Not your hashtags, not your affirmations, not your carefully curated profile picture with that serene but vacant yoga smile. Nope. The universe isn't fooled. It's like a spiritual dog. It doesn't respond to what you say. It responds to what you feel behind your back. Here's a Buddhist truth they don't print on mugs. The body speaks what the lips deny. Ever wonder why, even after you meditate, you still snap at the woman in front of you at CVS who's writing a check? Or why your back hurts mysteriously every time someone says, just let it go? That's your unconscious grief, and it's got better posture than you. Carl Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Translation: you'll keep thinking life is testing you when it's really just mimicking your unresolved inner chaos. Let me give you a real-world case. Dolores, 71, tells everyone she's done with dating and very at peace with her independence. Meanwhile, she checks her phone 11 times an hour and joins suspiciously many garden clubs filled with available widowers. Her mouth says peace, her energy says please. And that's what the universe answers. Not your status updates, but your soul's muttered confessions at 3 a.m. So here's the question. What's your energy actually broadcasting? Is it I trust life? Or is it more like, I swear, I'm chill, but please text back or I'll die? Be honest. Not with me, with your nervous system, because here's what Buddhist psychology and neuroscience actually agree on. You can't fake safety. You can script, visualize, and mantra your way to nowhere. If your body still believes you're under attack by ghosts from 1983, you want to attract peace. Start by stopping the lie. Don't plaster gratitude over a festering resentment. Don't chant, "I receive," while checking your blood pressure and your ex's Instagram at the same time. Instead, try this. Next time something triggers you, don't judge it. Don't spiritualize it. Just breathe and whisper to yourself, "This is me too." That petty voice, that jealous flicker, that "why them and not me" ache. That's not failure, that's unprocessed pain knocking politely at the back door of your enlightenment. You don't have to chase it away. You just have to stop pretending you're above it. Because the moment you stop lying to your body about how fine you are, your energy starts telling the truth. And the universe, like a wise old friend, finally knows where to meet you, not on the mountaintop. Not in the perfect future, but right here, where the mess is honest, where your energy finally matches your mouth, where your prayers don't need to be louder, just real. Part 4, you're not in a void. You're in detox, so you finally surrendered. You stopped begging the universe. You even deleted your manifestation Pinterest board. You've been drinking chamomile tea, meditating for 7 minutes before falling asleep upright and bravely whispering, "I let go." And what happened? Absolutely nothing. The love didn't come, the call didn't come. Heck, even your joints are still cracking louder than your phone notifications. Welcome to the void. But before you panic and accuse the universe of ghosting you again, let me suggest a reframe. You're not in a void, you're in detox. That's right. This isn't a punishment, this is a purification. A cosmic version of sweating out the emotional Red Bull you've been living on for decades. See, we all say we want peace. But when it shows up looking like silent stillness or 2 weeks of nothing happening, we freak out. Why? Because we confuse calm with failure. I met a 68-year-old woman named Eleanor. After her divorce, she finally stopped dating. She wanted to heal, so she stopped chasing, stopped texting, stopped checking her ex-husband's new wife's Facebook. And what happened? I felt nothing she said, and it scared the hell out of me. Exactly, because silence isn't empty, it's spacious, and that space, it's where all the old junk starts to float up. Regrets, fears, unprocessed, father issues from 1965. This is where most people hit the eject button. They think, if I feel worse after letting go, I must be doing it wrong. So they go back to chasing, manifesting, begging, binge-watching, or dating Brad from Bingo, even though he believes mayonnaise is a spice. But here's the deeper truth. The void isn't where you're abandoned. It's where you're rebuilt. Carl Jung called it the creative void, the space between old identity and new self. It's where your ego shuts up long enough for your soul to whisper. In Buddhism, it's the bardo, the in-between state, not dead, not born, just becoming. It's where monks go to face their deepest illusions and where Westerners go to check their phone 84 times an hour because nothing meaningful is happening. So how do you survive it? You surrender to it, you become the silence. You let the detox do its thing, because behind the boredom is clarity, behind the loneliness is truth, behind the stillness is the version of you that doesn't need constant stimulation to feel alive. Think of it like this: you're not failing. You're fasting from the drama, from the dopamine, from the delicious lie that something out there will finally make you feel whole. And when you make it through the void without panicking, that's when the shift happens. Not the flashy kind with angel numbers and surprise texts, but the subtle kind where one morning you wake up and for no reason at all, you don't feel like checking your ex's astrology chart. You don't feel like proving anything. You just sit there, coffee in hand, socks mismatched, and feel okay. No fireworks, just presence, no miracle, just space. And in that space, everything starts to reassemble. Quietly, honestly, finally. Part 5. What if peace is just boredom in disguise? Let's talk about a spiritual epidemic no one wants to admit. We say we want peace, but the moment we get it, we call it boredom. You've done the work, you've decluttered your soul, saged your apartment, and stopped texting people who drain you. You finally have silence. And 5 minutes in, you're staring at your own ceiling like it's mocking you. I did all this for this. Yes, this is it. But not the romanticized version with background flutes and a golden aura. No, real peace is awkward. Real peace is a Tuesday afternoon where nothing's wrong, but you still feel like something should be. Here's the cosmic joke. You weren't addicted to drama, you were addicted to feeling important. Because when you're in chaos, you have a purpose. You're fixing something, solving something, venting about something, and the ego loves that. But when you sit still long enough, the ego starts coughing like a bored child on a car ride. This is it. Where's the healing? Where's the closure? Why is nothing happening? Shouldn't I be transcending or sweating? No. Sometimes peace just means you're not being chased by your past for 5 consecutive minutes. And that's a miracle. You're too distracted to celebrate. Let me tell you about Martin. Martin was 74 and newly widowed. After the funeral, casseroles stopped coming. So did the phone calls. For the first time in decades, his days were empty. He thought he was depressed. His doctor said, "Martin, this isn't depression. This is stillness." Martin paused and asked, "But what do I do with it?" "Nothing," his doctor said. "You feel it. That's the job now." Here's a Buddhist secret. Enlightenment is wildly underwhelming. It's not fireworks. It's not a TED talk. It's being alone with yourself and realizing you're enough company. But that doesn't feel exciting. It feels like eating steamed rice after years of hot sauce and heartbreak. Still, that's what the path is. The spiritual path isn't a laser light show. It's a quiet walk through your inner living room, finally noticing the furniture you've been tripping over for years. And yes, it gets boring, because boredom is what peace feels like to an overstimulated nervous system. Think of it this way. If your whole life has been a parade of noise control and low-grade anxiety disguised as ambition, then peace is going to feel like an empty waiting room with no magazine rack. But wait long enough, and the peace reveals itself, not as a thrill, but as a kind of truth that doesn't need to shout. So the next time you say, "I want peace," make sure you're not secretly asking for an interesting distraction that feels slightly more spiritual than Netflix. Because peace, real peace, is this: sitting at your kitchen table, hearing the clock tick, and not needing to check your phone to feel like you matter. And when you can sit in that space, bored, present, undistracted, you've made it. That's the prize. That's the freedom. And the best part, there's nothing left to chase. Part 6. You're haunted by the goals you never actually wanted. You ever look at your life and think, wait, who picked this? The career, the house, the third husband who collects porcelain lighthouses. It's like waking up halfway through a movie and realizing you're not sure if you're the star or just an unpaid extra in someone else's plot. Let me offer a gentle gut punch. Most people don't fail at their goals, they succeed at someone else's. That tension in your chest isn't from laziness, it's from dragging a wagon full of inherited dreams up a hill that never felt like yours in the first place. Carl Jung warned us, the most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely, because once you do that, you realize half your goals were just guilt in a Halloween costume. I knew a woman named Joan, 75, retired sharp as a razor, spent her life climbing the academic ladder, published, tenured, applauded. Then one night over dinner she whispered, "I never wanted any of it." She became a professor because her father once said, "Writers are unstable," so she proved him wrong. For 42 years, that's not ambition, that's revenge with a pension plan. And we all do it. You chase wealth because someone made you feel poor. You seek love because someone left. You become successful, not out of purpose, but because someone once underestimated you. So your life becomes an elaborate rebuttal, and even when you win, it feels hollow. Because here's the cruel punchline: when you manifest from your wounds, your success still bleeds. Buddhism calls this craving born of delusion. The ego believes if I just get that one thing, I'll finally feel safe. But karma's tricky. It doesn't reward ego, it rewards awareness. So if your actions are based in unconscious pain, the results won't bring peace. They'll just bring more things to protect, prove, or lose. You want to know why you're tired all the time? It's not your age. It's because dragging around other people's expectations is heavy, your mother's voice. Your ex's opinion, that coworker from 1982 who said you weren't management material, she's retired now. She owns a cat named Crouton. Let it go. Here's the shift. Ask yourself this terrifyingly honest question. If no one clapped, would I still want this? If the answer's no, congratulations. You just met your shadow. Jung didn't want you to ignore that part. He wanted you to invite it to tea, because until you confront the root of your goals, you're not manifesting, you're performing. And frankly, it's exhausting, especially after 60. So try this. Burn a list of your shoulds. Cancel one obligation this week that makes your stomach tighten. And instead of chasing meaning, try making space for it. Let your new goals be born from stillness, not scarcity. Because when your actions align with your soul, not your story, something miraculous happens. You stop needing applause, you stop needing to win. You just start living. And for the first time in decades, you're finally the one choosing part 7. You are not your timeline, you're just very convincing at pretending you're late. Let's kill the clock. Not literally, you've still got time left on your pacemaker and your subscription to National Geographic, but spiritually, let's toss that imaginary stopwatch into the compost bin of existential nonsense where it belongs. Because here's the truth, no one prints on birthday cards over 60. You're not late, you're just tangled up in someone else's calendar. You think you're behind on healing, behind on your purpose, behind on becoming the gloriously enlightened version of yourself who lives on a lake and speaks only in affirmations and turmeric recipes. But behind what exactly? Some fictional storyline written by a 32-year-old life coach with a ring light and no kids. Carl Jung would be rolling in his archetypes. You were not born to meet benchmarks, you were born to wake up. And sometimes that doesn't happen until after your knees start sounding like bubble wrap. In Buddhist psychology, time is an illusion anyway. Samsara isn't just the cycle of rebirth, it's also the loop of shame that comes from believing you should have arrived somewhere by now. Let me tell you about George. George retired at 67, depressed. He thought he missed his window, too old to travel, too slow to matter. Then he took a pottery class, made a crooked little bowl and cried in front of 9 strangers. Why am I crying, he asked. Because, said the instructor, your soul just made something with its hands for the first time. George wasn't late, he was finally on time. Here's the cosmic joke, you're never behind, you're just not rushing anymore. But we confuse stillness with stagnation. We think quiet years are wasted ones. Let's reframe that. The Buddha didn't rush to enlightenment. He sat under a tree until he remembered who he was. No Wi-Fi, no personal brand, just breath, birdsong, and bad posture. You don't owe the world constant progress. You don't owe yourself a timeline that looks good on paper. You owe your soul a chance to speak before the clock runs out. And sometimes it doesn't start talking until everyone else has shut up. If you need a mantra, try this one. I'm not early, I'm not late. I'm exactly where the path disappeared. Because that's where it gets interesting. When the map burns, when the goals dissolve, when you finally stop comparing yourself to people who peaked in the Reagan administration. From a Buddhist perspective, presence is the only real time zone. And presence doesn't care about your 10-year plan. It cares about this moment, this breath, this sip of tea that you didn't microwave for the 3rd time. So if you're 65, 75, 85 and you feel like you're behind on life, pause. You're not behind. You're in bloom. Late bloomers often grow the most fragrant fruit. Besides, everyone racing ahead is just trying to get to the same place you're already sitting in. Now, part 8, enlightenment, might just be giving less of a damn. Let's have an uncomfortable little epiphany together. What if enlightenment isn't glowing with divine radiance, but simply not giving a damn about half the things that used to ruin your Tuesday? No halos. No aha moment where the clouds part and your chakras start humming like a capella monk's. Just less interest in things that don't matter. That's it. The truth is, most of the suffering in your life came from caring way too much about people problems and Pinterest quotes that were never yours to carry. Your ex's opinion, your son's silence, your weight, your old boss's passive-aggressive LinkedIn posts. Buddhism calls this attachment. Western psychology calls it rumination. I call it emotional hoarding. And your spiritual closet is overflowing with expired anxieties. Now here's the kicker: letting go doesn't always feel like serenity. Sometimes it feels like not replying, like not attending, like not pretending to care that someone thinks your living room is outdated, that my friend is awakening. And it's quiet. I once met a man named Lester, 76, divorced, didn't own a smartphone, and smiled like someone who slept just fine at night. I asked him his secret. He said, at some point I just ran out of energy to care about the wrong things. Let that sink in. He didn't have a breakthrough, he just got spiritually tired of his own drama. And instead of pushing harder, he let go. He stopped attending arguments he wasn't invited to. He stopped being available for guilt trips from relatives with seasonal needs. He stopped defending his life to people who never lived it.
And wouldn't you know it, his blood pressure dropped. His dog started liking him more, and get this, he started enjoying grocery shopping again. You want to know what that is? That's liberation. With orthopedic shoes. We have this fantasy that peace is a mountain. But sometimes peace is just saying no thank you to an email, then watching Netflix with zero guilt. Ram Dass once said, when you are already in the ocean, you don't need to carry buckets of water.
So why are you still lugging approval expectations and unsaid apologies like, they're your spiritual luggage, drop it all, let the phone ring, let people misunderstand you, let the silence answer for once. You're not here to win the argument, you're here to stop needing one. Because guess what? True enlightenment doesn't walk into the room screaming, look at me. It shuffles in late wearing slippers, sipping tea, and says, I stopped caring, and everything got lighter. You don't need to force closure. You don't need to perfect your inner child. You don't need to explain why you didn't show up to Karen's birthday brunch. You just need to breathe. Smile and let the nonsense pass like a noisy car at 2 a.m. So next time your mind panics and asks, what will they think? Pause and reply, hopefully nothing, I'm finally free. So here we are. Not at the finish line, but at the quiet doorstep of something far better. Nothing, not the empty kind.
Not the forgot my password again kind, but the sacred, spacious kind, the kind of nothing that isn't missing anything. Because it finally stopped pretending to be everything you've chased, you've cried, you've tried to spiritually wrestle the universe into giving you a sign. But the truth, the moment you stopped, it all began. Carl Jung called this individuation. The Buddha called it liberation. Your Aunt Ruth might call it, finally, minding your own business.
But really, it's just the sweet, strange freedom of not needing to be more than you already are. So breathe. You don't need to go manifest anything. You don't need to decode the moon cycle. You don't even need to heal right now. You're not broken. You're not late. You're not behind some spiritual conveyor belt of productivity. You're just remembering that still real version of you who's been quietly watching from the back row while your ego fumbled the mic. So if today cracked something open, leave a comment below that says, I'm done chasing, I'm just here. Not to impress anyone, but to tell your soul, we made it. Now go sit somewhere quiet. Don't fix, don't scroll, don't strive, just be. Because sometimes doing nothing is exactly what moves everything.